The man arrived at the housing court window 11 minutes before the docket opened. That was the first thing Renata noticed. She had been coming to room 114 every Tuesday for 3 years as a volunteer housing advocate, and she had learned to read the morning crowd the way a weather watcher reads a sky. Who was nervous, who was angry, who had already given up. This man was none of those things. He stood at the filing window with a manila folder pressed flat against his side, his coat buttoned to the collar against the October chill that still clung to the lobby, and he waited without any of the fidgeting or phone checking that everyone else brought to that particular line. He simply stood and was still. His name, Renata would learn later, was Mr. Devereaux. He was 61 years old, a retired maintenance supervisor for the City Water Authority. His wife of 34 years had died in February. The house on Alderton Street, a 2-story frame house their family had owned outright since 1997, had been caught up in a clerical error that had attached a municipal lien to the wrong parcel. He had come to file a motion to correct the record. He had the deed. He had a letter from the city assessor's office confirming the error. He had the filing fee receipt, stamped that morning at the cashier's window on the second floor, $10.50, timestamped 8:47 a.m. He had everything. He had done everything right. The clerk who opened the filing window at 9 o'clock was a man Renata recognized. She knew him only as the one who wore short sleeves in every season and kept a coffee mug that said "World's Best" at something she could never read from the gallery bench. She had watched him work the window for 2 years. He was efficient when he chose to be, and indifferent when he chose to be that instead. Mr. Devereaux stepped to the window and placed his folder on the ledge. He stated his case number. He said he was there to file a correction motion on a property lien. The clerk looked at the folder. He did not open it. He looked at Mr. Devereaux, and something shifted in his face. A small, practiced assessment, the kind that takes half a second and decides a great deal. Then he pushed the folder back. "You need the lien release form," he said. "Counter B, other side of the building." Mr. Devereaux said quietly that he was not filing for a lien release. He was filing a motion to correct a clerical error. He had the case number, the supporting documents, and the fee receipt. He slid the folder forward again. The clerk did not look at the folder. "Lien matters to Counter B," he said. "They'll set you up." "I've already been to Counter B," Mr. Devereaux said. "They sent me here. The motion is already prepared. I have the receipt." Clerk picked up the folder, not to open it, but to hand it back. "Come back Thursday," he said. "The supervisor handles these on Thursdays." He was already turning away. From the gallery bench, Renata sat up straight. She had seen delays and redirections before. She had seen clerks make people circle this building twice for paperwork they already held. But there was something in this particular exchange that settled in her chest like a stone. Because Mr. Devereaux had not moved. He had taken his folder back, and he had placed both hands flat on the counter ledge, and he said, not loudly, not angrily, but with the precise, unhurried weight of a man who had been keeping accounts for a long time, "I would like you to look at what I have brought." The clerk did not look. Repeated that Thursday was the day for these matters. Then he pulled the sliding panel halfway closed and picked up his coffee mug. Mr. Devereaux took one breath. He picked up his folder. He turned from the window and walked to the gallery, and he sat down 2 rows in front of Renata, and he straightened his coat, and he opened his folder on his knees and read through it slowly, as if confirming to himself that every page was still there, still true, still enough. His hands were steady. Renata leaned forward. She said, in a low voice, "Excuse me." He turned. She told him she was a housing advocate and had watched the whole exchange. She asked if she could see the paperwork. He handed her the folder without hesitation. Inside, the deed, clean and clear. Alderton Street, in full, no encumbrance. The mortgage satisfaction recorded in 2004. The assessor's letter dated 3 weeks ago, acknowledging the erroneous lien and directing the property owner to file a correction motion in housing court. The motion itself, typed, captioned with the docket number, signed in the receipt, stamped 8:47 a.m., $10.50, valid same day. Everything the clerk had not looked at. Renata handed the folder back. She said, "You have everything, every single thing." She said it because it was true. and because she could see that he already knew it, and that the knowing had not made the morning easier to carry. She asked if he would be willing to wait while she spoke to someone. He said he had nowhere else to be. Housing Courtroom 114 was presided over, Tuesdays, by Judge Elaine Calloway. Renata had appeared before Judge Calloway dozens of times. She was a compact woman in her mid-50s with a reputation for impatience with waste and great patience with people, which was, Renata had always thought, exactly the right combination for a housing court judge. She arrived precisely at 9:30, settled her robe, and called the first matter. Renata had, in the 10 minutes before 9:30, found the court's clerk of the floor. A different clerk, a woman named Perkins, who was not the window clerk, and who listened to Renata's account with narrowing eyes, and asked whether the morning docket had a moment for a procedural matter from the gallery. Perkins had said she would bring it to the judge's attention. The second matter on the docket was a straightforward continuance. After it was granted, Judge Calloway looked up from the bench and said, "Ms. Perkins tells me there is a filing matter." Renata stood. She explained, briefly and without editorializing, that a man named Mr. Devereaux had arrived before 9 o'clock with a complete properly captioned correction motion, a paid filing fee, and supporting documentation from the city assessor's office, and that the filing window had declined to accept the documents and redirected him to turn on Thursday. Judge Calloway said, "He has the receipt?" Mr. Devereaux stood 2 rows behind Renata. "Yes, Your Honor," he said. "Stamped this morning." "Bring it up," the judge said. He walked to the bench and handed up the folder. Judge Calloway opened it. She read the deed. She read the assessor's letter. She turned the motion to its last page and looked at the caption and the docket number. She looked at the receipt. The room was quiet. The whole room, the lawyers at the side tables, the people on the gallery benches, the bailiff near the door, was watching and saying nothing. Judge Calloway closed the folder. She said, "This motion is accepted for filing as of 8:47 this morning." She said it to the court reporter, and the reporter's fingers moved. Then she said, to Perkins, "I would like a written account of this morning's window interaction on my desk before the afternoon session." Perkins said, "Yes, Your Honor. A man came to this court with a complete valid filing," Judge Calloway said. Still to Perkins, but to the room as well. He had the deed. He had the assessor's letter. He had the receipt. The correct response to that filing was to accept it. She paused. "I want to understand why that did not happen." Her voice was level and careful. It was not a shout. It did not need to be. By afternoon, the written account was on her desk. By the following morning, it had been forwarded to the court administrator's office, accompanied by a formal notation for the filing clerk's personnel record, and a directive that all counter staff complete a refresher review of intake procedures by the end of the month. The matter was logged. The notation would remain. Mr. Devereaux was not there for any of that. He had left the courtroom at 10:15, after the judge had confirmed his filing number for the record and told him the assigned hearing date. He had thanked the judge, collected his full folder, and walked out through the lobby, past the window with the sliding panel, and out into the October morning. Renata watched him go from the gallery door. He walked the way he had stood at that window, without hurry, without theater, carrying what he was carrying without asking anyone to see the weight of it. The deed was in his hand. The house on Alderton Street was still his. It had always been his. She thought about the folder sitting on his knees while he read through it in the gallery, checking every page. Not looking for a fight, not asking for an audience, just making sure the truth was still there, still intact, still enough. It was. It had been all morning. The court in the end had done its job. And the record, from that morning forward, reflected the fact that it had not done so without being asked twice.